How does this become this when the odds are stacked against you? You create a $1 billion Rolodex. Ungenita Prevost went from product of the projects to successful female entrepreneur. Aged out of the foster care system at 18, she was determined to pursue her dreams, and shortly thereafter, she made it to Hollywood and had success as a dancer, actress, and body double, working with some of the biggest stars in the entertainment industry. Over the years, she has turned award-winning feminine leadership expert, and her brand portfolio includes some of the top companies in the world. Are you ready to build social capital, shift from no name to high demand, and elevate your financial status in record time? Do you want to step into your feminine power, as well as increase your selling and earning power to transform your life and create an elite network like no other? Then why not learn how to make this transformation from the woman who beat the odds and has made it her life's mission to do the same for female entrepreneurs around the globe? Ungenita and her feminine leadership training program includes sales, communication, networking, and digital marketing. If you're ready to become the bold, provocative thought leader who refuses to compromise her feminine power and earning power and build an elite network, join the $1 billion Rolodex and Fem 500 community today. Feminine power plus financial empowerment equals fierce feminine leadership.
Can you share more about your story for all the audience here?
Yes, absolutely. And thank you for the video, by the way, sharing the video. I really love that. So for me, what I want everyone to remember is that I started off as a child in the foster care system. And when I was aged out of the system, I had to figure everything out in life. I had to figure out, where I was going to live. I had to get a job. I had to get a bus pass so I could actually get to the job. I had to figure out how I was going to pay for food, all of the bare necessities. So because of the way I started in life, I didn't have much. And I relied on relationships. And so it was always the relationships that I had already built along the way that I leveraged. And it carried me throughout every obstacle, failure, setback, what have you. Now, at that time, I didn't know I was networking. I didn't know I was building social capital. Obviously, I didn't know anything about a $1 billion Rolodex. But I just had this innate ability to leverage those relationships, and those relationships catapulted me. And I just noticed patterns throughout my life where every time I was down, literally it was a relationship that saved me. And then I started to see how, it affected other people. So I would refer, I would introduce, I would tell other people to network with me. even though at the time I didn't know I was networking, you know. And I'll tell you a story. This is probably a couple things that often it goes unnoticed. First things first, when
Yeah.
I landed in the group home at 15 years old, okay, so I was, living in the children's shelter, going through the probation system and foster care system, child welfare services, you name it. And I was in the children's shelter. I was placed in a foster home at 15. And the minute you're in the system, you are told that, your life's going to be hard. You're
Yeah.
not going to have money. It doesn't look good for you. So when I landed in this group home, there was a flyer in the mailbox one day, and I picked up the flyer, and the flyer basically said, if you want a job, there's a job available passing out flyers for a real estate agent. And I thought, oh, this is really cool. Okay.
Yeah.
But I wanted a better job. Okay. I was 15 and I wanted a
Wow.
better job. And so I asked if I could answer the phones. I got a job working in real estate at 15 years old, answering the phones for the next 2 years until the time I was 17. That was the first time. Again, I did not know this back then. I monetized my network. First time, 15. So that's why I consider myself an OG in the most respectable way.
Yeah. So like you have all the relationship before you land the job in real estate, or by the time you get the job in real estate, then you think about, okay, I need relationships and real relationships. What happened?
No, actually, this is a classic case, an example. And this is what I teach women how to do today. The real estate agent was actually neighbors of my foster mother. So when I made the phone call, obviously she knew that I was, part
Yeah.
of this group home. So there was an association, and she offered me the interview. I went down there, went to Century 21 in San Jose. I went to the interview and I sold myself. I said, I'll answer the phones. I'll dress up every Saturday and Sunday. I'll take the bus. I'll get on the bus at 8:30 to show up at 9 a.m. I will clock out at 5 p.m. I did that. I didn't really know at the time, but it was that innate ability. Like I was listening to intuition. Again, I didn't know these things back then.
Yeah. So what motivated you to go after that job because you have that initiative character that you go after that what you want, and you don't mind about calling people, answering the phone and selling. But for many people, it's something that, like for me as a woman, I feel I'm really shy about doing those things. And what made you feel motivated to do those things? Is that because you don't have anything to lean back on, parents or financial security? That's why you
Bingo.
have.
It's that simple. When you're living in the children's shelter and they tell you, you're probably going to be a statistic. You're going to end up on welfare. You're probably going to get pregnant before you reach your 21st birthday. You're going to be homeless. You're going to probably be on drugs at some point in your life, incarcerated. You're not going to go to college. Like the odds were against me. Statistically speaking, people like me don't make it. So when I jump on this mission and women look at me like I'm crazy, I'm being over the top, this is materialistic because you're talking about $1 billion Rolodex, you're talking about money. Excuse me. Try living your life without a mother, father, rich husband, or college education, and then talk to me. That's my motto.
Yeah, that's right. I feel the same way when I was 21 years old. And before that, I was dependent on my ex-boyfriend, for example. And then after we broke up, I feel like there's nothing, no one can that I can rely on. And that moment, it's the turning point moment. You know that, okay, now you don't have anything to lean on. You need to be independent and go after what
Exactly.
you want. And for you, that motivation is even like 5 times or 10 times stronger, because
Yes.
like you even don't have mentally support from family, and like you need to do everything by yourself, not
Yes.
just financially but mentally, and you don't feel safe, like mentally and emotionally, and then financially you don't have anything to lean back on. And do you think that that's why women these days, the reason why we don't go after what we want, or we don't want to be extra or go after the goals, is because we have that tendency to depend on other people or other resources in our life?
I think so, but I also think it's because most people don't want to face failure and
Mm.
they don't want to face disappointment. So when you're at the bottom, okay, and you have nowhere to go, it's easier to take risk. So I'm a big risk taker. And I often say I make failing look good because
Mm.
I just fail and I figure it out and I'm not afraid and I keep going and I'm not embarrassed. I don't care what people think. If people go, "Oh my God, I can't believe I would never do that. Oh my God, how could you do that?"
Mm.
Because history will show I have 100% success rate, that if and when I fail, I will succeed and I will come out 10 times better.
Mm.
History will show. But most people are so afraid to take that risk. They're afraid to talk to people. They're afraid to pick up the phone. They're afraid to negotiate. They're afraid to talk about what they do. They're afraid to truly show who they are because
Yeah.
they're afraid. And once you get over that disappointment and you go, you know what? It's okay. Because no one, guess what? No one in life is perfect. So why do we bear the burden of feeling as though we must be perfect? So
Mm.
I never had that. I was always the underdog. I failed. No mom, no dad. I was the problem child living at the children's shelter with all these parentless children. The odds were against all of us. We were going to be another statistic. They were just, waiting for us to,
Yeah.
join the stats. So I said to myself, I want to do something different.
Yeah. So people who like in the same situation as you, like for example, you say statistically, those people will not make it. And do you have any friends living in the same foster system and they end up another way,
Oh
or
my
go
gosh.
to destruction way or something?
I can tell you the story, and it brings tears to my eyes. So I was actually probably about a year into my independence. So I was
Yeah.
living on my own. I had rented a room. I was working at Macy's in the jewelry department. I was starting my life at 18, and I'll never forget, it was Christmas. And I was watching the news, and my girlfriend was on the news in San Jose. There were all these people that were camped out in downtown San Jose. They were homeless people,
Yeah.
and they didn't have a place to live. And they were getting food. There was some type of food bank. And I looked up and I saw my girlfriend, and she had a
Mm.
baby.
Mm.
Now, she was about, I think, 2 years older. So from the time that I left the shelter to going through the foster care system, aging out, living on my own, renting a room, taking the bus to Macy's every day to sell jewelry. I still love jewelry to this day. She had aged out, gotten pregnant, and now she was
Mm.
homeless.
Mm.
And I wanted to do something, but I wasn't in the position at the time to do anything because I was trying to
Yeah.
figure out my own life.
Yeah.
But that's the reality. And so when I share this work, I share this work from that place. And when I meet women and they are afraid to put themselves out there, and it's not about putting yourself out there and being on social every day, because I'm not. It's
Yeah.
not about taking all these pictures and shooting all these videos, because I do not. But what I have mastered is connecting with people who have changed my life. I'm not afraid to talk to anyone. That's what I teach women how to do. Intimidating people. I worked for the #1 real estate agent in San Jose, excuse me, and he was in San Jose, Northern California, #1 real estate agent. Millions of dollars worth of property sold. I would see these transactions. I learned how to adjust and acclimate myself to those high net worth environments.
Yeah.
That's what elevated me. When I got to Hollywood, it was the same thing. I adjusted, I acclimated to those high net worth environments, and I was able to work with celebrities. I was
Yeah.
able to get those jobs. And people go, well, how did you do that?
Yeah.
Communication, confidence, social intelligence, selling myself. That's
Yeah.
all. Those are all the things that I teach women how to do every single day.
Yeah. Yeah. The same thing. I think I can relate to this because, for example, if a person, like for a woman, if she goes to an environment where there's so many affluent people or so many successful people, or in Hollywood, like some like
Yes.
where people so famous, they're so afraid
Yep.
that, and they feel insecure because they're not that good enough, that competent enough. And for you, you have a different view or a different attitude. And how, like, is that your nature that you have that different attitude, or how do you upgrade your thinking or your attitude in order to communicate with people who in higher position?
Well, because I was always the underdog, and because I started at the bottom, I've continued to work on myself. So we all have room to learn and grow. So it doesn't matter how far you come, there's always room to grow. So I'm always in the arena of growth. I'm always looking at ways that I can better myself. So the #1 skill that I acquired, and I say by default, because again, I didn't know this, was communication. It was just learning how to communicate with people to get what I want. I was not afraid to ask for what I want. Another issue that women have is asking. It's one of the reasons why I teach women how to ask for what they
Yeah.
want. It's one of the reasons why in my Feminine Leadership Network, Fem 500, I make sure I give women the opportunity to ask.
Yeah.
We don't exercise the asking muscle. So imagine if I didn't ask at 15. Imagine if I just said, you know what, I don't want to pass out flyers. I'll just leave it alone. I'll go work at McDonald's. But I said, you know what, I had this vision of sitting in a $1 million real estate firm, dressed up and answering the phone. That was glamorous to me back then. I wanted that job.
Yeah.
What do you think that did for my confidence at 15?
Yeah. Yeah. That's the, I'm questioning myself right now. Like at 15 years old, and you already like building that muscle of being confident and present yourself at the best in what you do, or like be in the best environment, dress up, and so it's not something that many people they think that they can do it, because they feel like maybe I cannot be able in that position, so I don't bother doing it. But for you it's different, because you want to build yourself up to that environment. You don't let the environment makes you feel that, okay, I'm less than this environment, but because you continue being in the higher and better environment, so that you can level up yourself to match that environment. So that, I think that's the difference, the different attitude between you and other people who cannot do like what you do. And talking about another thing about women, like when you're working with women and teaching what you're teaching today, communication and building confidence and selling and networking and building social capital. So what do you observe that what normally women lack when building those skills? Is that insecurity? Is that lack of confidence, or what is it?
I'm going to answer this in two parts. The first part is women are afraid to deal with their confidence issues. No one wants to admit that they're not confident, though they will tell you that they could use more confidence. And so what I find is everyone's confident to a certain extent. But when things get really bad, the confidence goes out the window. So I trained women on confidence. I created this program called Confidence and Stilettos because, I have this stiletto brand. And the focus was on how to cultivate badass confidence. Because you can be confident when your hair looks good. You can be confident when you close a sale. You can be confident when you get the job. But what about when you have $52.27 in your bank account and you have nowhere to live? What about when you have 0 clients and you have to figure out how to get clients? What happens when you sit in front of the phone every day on sales calls and no one buys? See, that's the type of confidence we must cultivate. Because when you can be confident in those moments, they will give you the strength, the courage to take the necessary action to get yourself out of that situation. But if you don't have the confidence in those situations, you become paralyzed. You don't take the action. And those negative forces come in and they stop you in your tracks. And that creates what I call stuck status and living your life as if it were in an extended stall pattern. So you're not moving and you're not allowing yourself to gain momentum.
So talking about building confidence, do you think that is anything to do with how you look, the money that you have, or like position and anything? Is this something that you can?
I love this one. Oh my gosh. Okay. So this is my new thing. Okay. I haven't I'm going to make this announcement to the world soon because I'm writing a new book. And it's all about asset management. Okay, now that's sort of a real estate term. Actually, no, it's actually an investment term. It's not a real estate term. It's an investment term. Asset management. So my goal is to show women how to leverage their assets. Okay, now what do I mean by that? Get ready for this, okay? Because it's the first time I'm sharing this. This is huge. So remember, I worked in Hollywood. And I was a dancer. I was a body double. You've seen me millions of times. Okay. Yes, you have. You didn't realize you have, but you have. So when I was in Hollywood, I leveraged my external assets. Okay. Okay. So I was dancing, my hands, I was, doing all sorts of external things. Nothing's wrong with it. Very proud of those moments. But what I do today, it requires me I leverage the assets on the inside. So that's what it's about. Because most of the time, people don't see me. Boy, you know this. People don't see me. I'm not on social all the time. I don't take a lot of pictures. I hop on Zoom to, lead the Feminine Leadership Network. So I'm not really I'm not out there. I'm not showy. But I'm still leveraging my assets on the inside. And that's what I really, really, really want women to understand, because the things that I ask you to work on, sales intelligence, it's feminine intelligence, it's
Yeah.
social intelligence, it's communication intelligence, it's energetic intelligence, it's emotional intelligence. Those are the things that we actually are working on.
Yeah.
Has nothing to do with my pink lipstick, my eyelashes, or my stilettos, even though people seem to be triggered by that. It has nothing to do with stilettos. I just happen to be a fashion beauty girl. I love it. And this is who I am. But the
Yeah.
work is inside,
Yeah.
because
So
that's
how?
what I had to do.
Yeah.
It's tapping into that personal power. It's on the inside.
Yeah. So how, like, before you realize that assets inside of you, do you feel is there any period of time where you feel like you don't recognize it? You don't recognize what the asset inside of you, and then you learn how to figure that out,
Oh,
or
yes. I think it was during the time I was a body double.
yeah.
Because when I was a body double in Hollywood, and I was a double for, very famous celebrities and movie stars and you name it. And what happened was I just noticed that everyone had the same issues. So I noticed that we all didn't like something, or we were all self-conscious. And I often say I went to Hollywood to get discovered. I discovered myself. Because in those moments, I really like, can't be that bad. Because I was always teased, I'm 5'3". I'm a slim, skinny girl. I had narrow hips, and people would just, call me olive oil because I was too skinny,
Yeah.
and then I got to Hollywood, and, I was sometimes too thin, and then sometimes I was too voluptuous. And then when I became a body double, I was like, oh, okay, well, my body can't be that bad, because everyone is sort of leasing my parts. But in those moments, I gained more confidence around who I am, who I was at the time. And that is what I carried out of Hollywood and into what, I'm doing today.
Yeah. So, like, nowadays you're working with women, and I'm also one of the members in your social network, and I love what you did. And before working with you, I was at a place where I feel insecure about my English speaking skill, and also I never like network is something that so foreign to me. I never do networking throughout my life. I just wait for people to approach me, and I don't have that bonus to go after what I want, to ask whatever I want, because I was so afraid of being rejected. And then in your program, I learned how to ask more and show up more to people. And then you create a space, very safe space for women to gather and to share about themselves. And also the introduction formulas and all of the script that you create, and all of the experience that you recognize from doing selling and communication. It's very helpful to me. And then I start practicing on that, and branded myself as someone different. And before joining you, I saw you or other people who like more affluent than me. I feel like they have so many things that I don't have, and I feel insecure. I don't feel that I have. I don't know what I have to offer, something like that. And then, based on what you teach, I realized that I need to cultivate all the access, like what you say. And
Yep.
I realized that, oh, I have some access, and then I can leverage this. Like today, having you on this interview, I leverage my access with
Yep.
you, like in the relationship that I know you in the network, and
Yep.
also my social media pages. Maybe I'm not someone that a good public speaker or something, but I have all the assets. And so it's something that I learned a lot from the program, your program, and it helped me to be more confident and to be very bold in going after what I want, and socialize with people and initiate. And if I have any ideas, I just go after it and I just tell everybody about it. This is something that I feel I'm doing very comfortably when I was in my early like teenager or 20 early 20s. But then some life challenge happened. I was bullied on social media
Yep.
and have some attack, or some people try to brought me down and other things. I was in the place where I feel like I shouldn't approach people. I shouldn't be visible on social media and other
Yep.
things. Like try to hide myself. But before that, I was someone who very confident and do all the things that, and I don't care what other people think. But I had that bad experience, and I think maybe some people, maybe before they can be confident, but after that, there's some life challenges happen. Maybe they were sick, they have a disease, or they have a divorce or something that crushed their identity, and they
Yep.
forgot who they are. They forgot who
Yep.
they were, and they want to hide themselves. And so, for people who are still hiding themselves and don't want to express themselves or go after what they want or be more, what do you advise for them? What are your advice for those people? And have you ever be in that position where you feel like you want to hide yourself, something like that?
Well, I thank you so much for everything you shared about them Global 500. I really, really, really appreciate it. And if anyone's watching and you're intrigued and you like this whole concept of social capital, please check out femglobal500.com. Here's the deal. In this social media era, I think there's so much pressure on women. There's pressure to show up. There's pressure to be visible. There's pressure to be seen. There's pressure to look a certain way. And to a certain extent, yes, I think it's important to have, an image, whatever that is for you, that's your image. But I think you want to approach it from the standpoint of what is your mission and vision? Okay. And as long as you're connecting with people, okay. And if you're not the type of person that wants to be online every day, that's okay. If you're the type of person that maybe you like commenting on other people's posts, that's fine. Maybe you're the type of person that you like picking up the phone and having those real conversations. Maybe you're an email marketer. Maybe you like speaking on stages, podcasts, virtual interviews like this.
Yeah.
You have to find what's comfortable for you. It's one of the reasons why you probably have seen this in my training, I advise women to understand what the communication channels are.
Yeah.
And then find the channel that works for you.
Yeah.
So for me, it's I don't do like these videos every day. I don't. When was the last time I shot a video? I can't tell you. It's not to say that I won't, because I'm moving into some other things and I'll get back to doing videos, but it's not stopping me. I'm still connecting with people. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes for me. So I'm secure in my visibility strategy. It's working. However, can I change it? Can I upgrade it? Can I up level? Absolutely. But for the woman who is saying, I need to get out there. Why do you need to get out there? What do you need to get out there for? And do you understand what you're going to do when you get out there? Because there's nothing like going online without a strategy. Just showing up. Like don't do that. Have a strategy. And if the strategy is, I'm going to show up, I'm just going to post. I'm going to put, share one photo. But I think there's just too much pressure. And I want to be the voice to bring women back to this idea of there's a difference between social networking and social capital.
Yeah.
And it requires social intelligence. That's an asset. If you have social intelligence, and it has nothing to do with fans, followers, and likes, please. It has nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with that. It's your ability to connect with people and cultivate rich relationships that you can leverage over time, because you invest in people and those relationships mature. You do not put expiration dates on people. which is what a lot of people do. You're not buying from me today? Okay, fine. Thank you. I'm not interested in talking to you again. Delete.
Mm. Yeah, that's one thing that I think that many people, they have that thinking that if this person don't give me any benefits, or they don't buy from me, okay, I don't bother about them. But
You're
you
not
have
buying
another.
from me? You're not signing up today? Oh my gosh, you're not saying, okay, that's it. Delete, block.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk to you. Now, here's the flip side. Here's the caveat. I have to share this. You have to be careful when you are a giver. Okay, because I'm a giver.
Yeah.
Bo, you are a giver. I've seen you in action. You're a giver. Because when you're a giver, you attract takers. And I've attracted a lot of takers. Because
Yeah.
they go, ooh, I want to know who you know. I want those $1 million introductions. I want that referral runway. I want to be your friend.
Mm.
And then
Yeah.
they start taking, and they take, and they take, and they take. And they offer you nothing. And then you feel depleted. You feel yucky. You feel used. Oh my God. That's not good. So that's
Yeah.
when you have to set boundaries and you go, whoa, whoa, whoa. What happened to two-way reciprocation?
Mm. Yeah.
So be mindful of that. It works both ways. Because there are people who are selfish and
Yeah.
they just want your money and they're not looking to build any social capital with you. But there are people who are out there who will just take because you are a giver. I can't tell you how heartbreaking it is at times. And I've gotten over it, but you know, it's heartbreaking when you invest in someone. I'll sit down and I'll say, oh, have a chat with me, and I'll sit on Zoom. Okay. Share a tip with a woman. I'll take the time to introduce her, give her a referral, and then I'll check back in. Scenario 1, no reply. Wow. Scenario 2, do you mind referring someone to my Feminine Leadership Network so I can teach them how to build social capital and monetize their networks? I'll think about it. Oh, you don't have a few minutes for me after I've invested about 45 minutes in you? Ah!
Yeah.
I mean, come on. And then
And
you wonder.
yeah, and how do you deal with those people? You just ignore them, or what do you do?
That's the time where you have to bow out gracefully.
Yeah.
There was a time where I felt the need to tell people. I don't do that anymore. I just bow out gracefully, delete, done,
Yeah.
move on.
Yeah.
And I'm at the point in my life where I just focus on the people that are living with the same belief and formulas that I have, right?
Yeah.
So we're in sync.
Yeah.
And I just focus on those people. So when people don't get me, they don't like me, they think that, oh, this doesn't make any sense. Who are you? You don't like I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
And I just move on because I have a support system of all these other amazing women who are there supporting me. And I'm going to focus on that.
Yeah. So the last question I want to ask about 3 tips that you want to give to people if they want to take action to build their social capital today. What are the the 3 first actions to take to start building that?
Number 1 is work on your $1 million introduction.
Yeah.
Okay. And I didn't bring the journal. I should have the journal to hold up the journal. You can order the journal on Amazon, Networking and Stilettos. Learn your introduction. And when I say learn your introduction, take the time to work on your introduction so that you can communicate with anyone, anywhere, and anytime. What does that look like? You're in line at Starbucks and someone asks you, so what do? You can answer that question. You're on the airplane someone asks you, so what do? You're able to carry that conversation.
Yeah.
So that's the number one. Number two, I would venture to say, take care of the people that you already know.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, especially in the social networking era, people are focused on collecting people. They collect people like, handbags.
Yeah.
I just want people, people, people.
Yeah.
They treat people like commodities.
Yeah.
And I think it's important that we build the relationships that we already have, like really, really work on those relationships, leverage those relationships.
Yeah.
Okay. And then take time to build new ones.
Yeah. That's the two major things to take action.
Yes.
Okay. So, Ungenita, thank you so much for
Thank
joining
you
the
so
interview
much.
today. And for everyone here, you know that this is the time for you to level up, to build social capital. This is Ungenita contact, and please go to her website fameglobal500.com, and then you can get the journal. You can join her events and then learn more about her skills, and she will share about so many useful tips for you in order to up level yourself with your attitude, with your communication, selling, and also to be confident, to networking and build your social capital and other authentic relationships. It's not relationship that you want to take advantage from other people, but this is a two-way relationship and it's authentic. So the last thing you want to share or you want to say to the audience here, what you want to say to people here before we go off?
I would say include this social capital concept, make it part of what you're doing. So you might have a marketing strategy, you might have a sales strategy, you might have a social media strategy. Include this concept of social capital.
Yeah.
And by the way, I have to say this because sometimes people ask me, they go, what, like, did you make this up? Where did this come from? I didn't make this up. There's tons of data. You can go to Harvard Business Review. You can check out all the data on social capital. There's so much data on it. But we were never taught how to build social capital.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of people who are turning it into something else. And I was on the phone with a woman last night.
Yeah.
And she said, she's raised about $7 million for her company. And she said, you know what? She said, you think that I was able to raise that money without leveraging relationships? She says, everyone wants to know, how did you raise 7 million?
Yeah.
She said it was the relationships.
Yeah.
So
that's right.
You got to invest in people and learn. It's a skill that you develop over time, and you'll get good at investing in the right people, because that's what everyone's afraid of. They're like, oh, I don't have time. But when you get in the habit of doing it on a regular basis, you'll learn how to do it, and you'll start attracting the right people, building relationships with the right people. And then guess what? Those relationships mature, you start leveraging, voila.
Yeah. Thank you so much for giving us so many useful knowledge and tips.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I hope that all of the audience who watching this interview will check out Ungenita website and DM her and work with her. She is very good at what she does, and she helps me to build my social capital. So thank you so much again, Ungenita, and have a nice day, everyone.
Bye.